Everyone knows that discipline is the key to success. I don't need to convince you of that. You've heard it from your favorite athletes, singers, artists, celebrities, business moguls, creators. They've all told you at one point in time that discipline is the reason that they are where they are today. And I also know that you're going to tell me that discipline is just not for you. Discipline you've tried, but you can't seem to wake up and study. You can't seem to work on that business that you've dreamt of. You can't seem to train on a regular basis. You can't seem to post that piece of content. I know that you feel that way, and it absolutely breaks my heart, because I know that belief will be detrimental to not even today, but it will compound and make you feel paralyzed and filled with anxiety for years to come. And I don't want that for you. And I truly believe a big reason for this is because of how discipline is being defined online. It is filled with so many extremes. So you try the 40-step routine and you try the 3-hour workouts and you do it for a week and you feel good about it. And then when something goes wrong in your life, or maybe even just the motivation dies out and you can't seemingly show up the way that you've been showing up, you think that you're not disciplined. You think that discipline isn't for you, but that's not the truth. I am going to prove to you in this video that you can learn to be disciplined and be able to achieve everything that you want to achieve for yourself. My name is Jun Yu. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. In this video, we will be describing a topic that, again, is so important to me because I didn't do the 40-step routine. I wasn't somebody that was training for 3-4 hours a day. I wasn't somebody that was locked up and never doing anything else in my room. I had different things in my life, and I've been able to, very fortunately, have a lot of success. I've been able to graduate with both my bachelor's and master's in biomedical engineering simultaneously. I've been able to build a 7-figure business. I've been able to get my book as the #1 new release on Amazon. I was able to run a marathon. I was able to do all of these things. And I'm telling you, I didn't live in the extremes, and you don't have to either. You're going to focus on the things that matter after you watch this video, and I cannot wait to see all of the progress that you make. If you find this video helpful, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and of course, subscribe. With that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Number 1, the 80-20 rule, which states that 20% of our efforts will dictate 80% of the results. I want you to rewind that 10 times over if you need to, but it is so unbelievably important to realize that all of these extremes, yes, they can seem pretty, and yes, they might seem to be popular because they're trending, but they're not needed. You don't need to do a daily ice bath. You don't need to do only cold showers. You don't need to do 17-hour work days. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. I promise you, you don't. You really don't. Discipline isn't that. Discipline is focusing on the things that actually matter in your life. Discipline is having holistic success mentally, physically, spiritually, and showing up for yourself with self-accountability, not showing up for your bosses, not showing up for your friends or your family, because you're already good at that. But I mean showing up for yourself, showing that you actually care about yourself. And this is why I've been able to make the June's 4 Wins a movement across social media. And it's one of my greatest passions in life. It's to prove to people that this is the way to build discipline, holistic discipline, so that you can ensure you are protected, that you can go through life with this steadfast calmness, that you're able to go through life and have so much success no matter what life throws your way, because it will throw a lot of obstacles. What's much more common in today's world that we especially see online are people that are single-faceted in their discipline. And so you might see the fitness person be disciplined in the gym, but they're not disciplined mentally. They're not improving intellectually. They're not challenging themselves creatively. Or perhaps that we're thinking about an individual that says that, you know what, I'm somebody that cares about my health, and they are really good with their intellectual side, but they forget that they need to be physically healthy too, that they should be also spiritually healthy too. We need to be holistically disciplined. We need to have that type of security and strength internally in our lives. And I'm trying to get this message across to you. The 4 Wins have grown to be extremely popular because people are realizing that this is the 20%. This is the focus that you really need to have in your life. If you can show up for yourself mentally at least 15 minutes a day, if you can show up for yourself physically 45 minutes a day, if you can show up for yourself spiritually 15 minutes a day, and then actually show up for yourself and ensure that you're meeting all of these wins with the right type of effort through honest accountability, 15 minutes a day, those 4 wins will take you so far in life. It's one that I feel incredibly passionate about, but this is what I mean by the 80-20 rule. Maximize the things that are actually important, forget the rest of the fluff. Number 2, perspective drives performance. The way that you view what you do affects how you do what you do. It's a beautiful quote by Inky Johnson. I want you to understand that yes, discipline is hard. I won't ever sugarcoat that because of course there's going to be moments in which you don't feel like doing the thing, but let's have perspective here, because what is the opposite of you not showing up? I believe that is a lot harder. What do I mean by that? So people ask me all the time, how are you able to work on your business while studying and still be able to post content and then write a book and to promote it and then have that be the #1 on Amazon's releases? And from the outside's perspective, it seems like a lot. And to be honest, it was really hard too, right? There are moments that I didn't want to be doing it. And if you've ever written something for that long or ever tried to craft a project for that long, it is really, really difficult. I won't lie to that, but I never really saw it in that light because I've also seen what it looks like to not have the financial flexibility. I know what it feels like to struggle a lot when I was growing up, when my family was going through all these financial hardships. I saw what it did when it caused that divorce. I saw what it did when I had to experience that from a kid's perspective and how money became such a pain point for my entire life growing up. I saw that, right? So what is the opposite perspective to not having discipline? What's the opposite perspective to not showing up on a regular basis? Well, it's also something that I don't want, right? I'd rather go through this. I'd rather go through the difficulty of waking up every day and working and pursuing something, right? So there's perspective needed for all of this. Yes, is going to the gym for 45 minutes a day difficult? For sure. But there were moments in time when I was younger and I grew up really, really skinny and I didn't like the way that it looked. I didn't like that either. I didn't like the way that I wasn't comfortable and confident in my own body. I didn't like that more than I don't like going to the gym for 45 minutes a day. Does that make sense? So it's these small inputs, and in comparison to the opposite side of it, it's a no-brainer to me, right? And so I think that discipline needs to work in both facets. I'm telling you the 80-20 rule first, because I'm telling you that you don't have to do all of these crazy nonsense 40-step routines to make you feel like if you don't do all those things that you're not disciplined. No, discipline can be very simple. You can focus on the things that matter and that's all. And the rest of the time, yeah, scroll on your phone. Yeah, go watch YouTube videos, go watch Netflix. Like, I'm not ever somebody that says you can't completely do that thing. So I'm telling you that first. And now secondly, I'm telling you that the times in which you do show up, the small inputs, always remember the opposite of what it looks like to not show up. Because when it does get hard, remember that all of this is hard, right? I'd rather have you live the life that you want to live because you're willing to invest in yourself for these small bouts of time in comparison to what it feels like to have the opposite, to not show up for yourself. I really think the perspective drives performance, so always keep this in mind. Number 3, start small. I am telling you right now that it is so easy to make these macro goals for yourself. It is so easy to say that you want to gain 20 pounds of muscle before you ever step foot in the gym. It's so easy to say that you want to have 10,000 followers on social media before you ever post your first video. It is so easy to make these loftier goals, but what's really difficult is to reverse engineer them and actually have daily actions towards that goal. And that is really the winning formula, right? The winning formula for success is being able to understand that it's the daily inputs that will lead to that ultimate goal, to not get lost in that overall vision, to not get lost in where you want to be in a year from now, but to always remember what it takes on a daily, regular basis. So what I want you to do is to start simply small. The reason why discipline can be so difficult sometimes is that we make it difficult, right? We start off with these loftier goals and then it becomes impossible to stick to. And that's why those 40-step routines, that's why the 3-hour training sessions don't work. That's why doing a daily ice bath on top of doing this ritual in the morning, on top of going ahead ensuring that you have this 1.5 hour worth of breath work, all of that stuff, I understand has its benefits, don't get me wrong, but what I'm trying to tell you is that you shouldn't start that big. It becomes impossible to stick to. And yes, you might have motivation for the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but that motivation will die down. If you can't show up even when the motivation is low, then you'll never win. But the idea is, if you can start small, what happens? Once you start achieving those wins, great things happen, like momentum. Great things happen like confidence. And that is how you start to mitigate the level of friction per each task. So trust me, if you've never done this before, give yourself 1 week of those 4 wins. Like, give yourself 1 week of showing up for yourself by learning something new for 15 minutes, by showing up for yourself and literally moving your body intentionally for 45 minutes, by doing something related to your purpose, your spiritual win for 15 minutes, and then self-accountability through journaling or some form of accountability group or whatever you want to do for that. Just try for 1 week. And those timeframes are very small, right? It's easy. It should be feasible for you to do this on a regular basis and see the type of confidence it builds inside of you. See the type of momentum it provides for you. Because on day 8, it'll be so much easier for you to do it for 15 minutes and 45 minutes per those wins. I guarantee it. But it's because you built that type of momentum and confidence for yourself. That's how you need to build up your goal achieving skill set. That is it. So I'm telling you right now, likely a reason why you don't stick to your goals is because they're too lofty to start with. And I see this all the time. Even a friend of mine that I'm talking to right now, I just got off a call with, has just told me, hey June, I've been working on this 10-year plan for myself for the last week and a half. I'm like, what? Like, how is that going to help you? In what world? We have no idea what's going to happen in 5 months, granted 10 years, right? Like, stop wasting your time on the things that really don't matter, that you don't have control over. Sure, you can tell yourself in 10 years, I'd like a nice house, I'd like a family. You can tell me those things, but then tell me what you can do today. Tell me your plans, tell me your routines, tell me your habits. Those things are actually going to build upon itself. And then you can start to do habit stacking, and that's when you start to have exponential growth occur. It's when you start to really have those compounding impacts. So please start small, stop overcomplicating it. You can have massive success as a student, as a business person, as a creator, but it needs to start small in every capacity. Number 4, master the 2-minute rule. And this has been something that I'm trying to do more of, and I'm realizing how beneficial it can be. I don't know if this happens to you guys, but sometimes I'll get text messages and it's really hard to respond to them. Not because they're asking me anything incredibly complex. It's just because I overthink it and I think, okay, now I have to think about the text message and how to word it, and I would ensure that I'm responding in a way that is pleasant, all of that. And then it causes me to never send that text message, and then like a week goes by and I still haven't sent that message, and I think about it, I'm like, oh, I don't want to think about it anymore because I feel bad and that person probably hates me. Like, I've done all of that, and it happens with my emails, like it happens with a lot of things that I know that needs to get done in the moment, but I continuously procrastinate upon it because I try to leave it for another time. But the 2-minute rule states that if there's something that you can get done within that 2 minutes, just do it, right? And I'm realizing how effective that's really been. Not the idea of multitasking if you don't need to, but when I do get an important text, just sending that message right away. When I get an email, just getting that response out as soon as I possibly can. When I see that Slack message, to respond, to do that, just because as you get in that process, you start to realize, yeah, even without a perfectly crafted message, people understand me. Yeah, I actually didn't have to worry too much about this one message or this one email, or I should have just done the X, Y, and Z. I should have just taken out the trash at that period of time, right? That type of habit does a lot of great things for yourself, because the opposite of discipline, I think, is sometimes an individual that overcomplicates or overthinks about everything. I'm not saying that overthinking is completely bad inherently, but usually you often see that in somebody that can't get themselves to be disciplined. It's because you overcomplicate or overthink the entire task. That we're going to nip in the bud right now. And so anytime that something's going to take you 2 minutes or less, just do it in the moment. And I promise you, it will start to build, again, that type of momentum. You'll feel like you're making progress. You won't have all of these things stack up in the back of your head, and it's going to free up that mental space for you to focus on the things that matter. Number 5, you must understand that discipline is not perfection. I believe a big reason as to why people can't remain disciplined is because they have the wrong definition of it altogether. People associate discipline with always being a perfect person, right? Somebody that can give 150% with max intensity 365 days out of the year and continuously, progressively increase in their intensity and to achieve everything that they've set out for themselves, that's not discipline, because none of us then would be disciplined, right? We're all human beings. We all have our weak moments, and that's okay. So the idea of discipline is actually the ability to get back on the horse after inevitably failing. This is something that I say a trillion times over and over again to my community. It's something that I believe in wholeheartedly. All of us will have bad days. All of us will miss certain days. All of us will have these really difficult moments in our lives, and that's okay. It's how you respond to those quote unquote failures that allows you to actually become a winner in the real long term. It's what allows you to be somebody that creates separation between you and your competition, right? Because most people, when they fail, can't get back on the horse because they have all this guilt and shame associated with that failure that they don't want to return back to their work. That's why people will start content creation for like the first 2 weeks and then never get back to it, right? It's this inability to get back on the horse. And that's why your favorite athletes are successful. They're not there because they've never had a bad day. They're not there because they never had those minuscule failures. But in the grand scheme of things, they don't matter, because once they did fail, they were able to get back on the horse. They were able to go back to training. They were able to do whatever it took to then get back into that consistency. And that is the desire I have for you. Look, you're not going to be perfect. I'm never perfect, but don't put that pressure on yourself. And another key thing to remember is that if you have 20% to give one day and you give that 20%, then you've given your 100%. And I really mean that. So it's not always about maxing out your intensity all the time. We're not built as human beings to do that. And so in certain situations, certain seasons, when things are hard, if you show up for yourself and if you're present, that means the world. And that shows to yourself that you really do matter, that you care about your future. And I hope that you keep that in the forefront of your mind, because I know that the difficult moments are going to occur, but don't think about chasing perfection, because you will never reach it. Discipline is not that. Discipline is something much more important. Discipline is how you respond to those minuscule failures. And so in the grand scheme of things, that we can still be winners. Discipline is that, as simple as that. With that being said, that wraps up the 5 tips that I want to provide to you in regards to how do you build discipline in a manner that is sustainable, in a manner that is feasible enough, that actually mitigates a lot of that friction. If this video was helpful for you, let me know in the comments below what you enjoyed, or if you have any questions, also let me know that. Give this video a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe. I will see you guys next time, and until then, please take care of yourselves. I love you guys so much, and I will see you all at the top.